In this video, we'll be talking about a heartbeat watchdog. Think about this for a moment. Imagine you have a remote-controlled tractor, and not a toy one that you might drive around when you're 10 years old, but a full-size one or a bobcat that can drive around. Think about what could go wrong. One of the most fascinating talks I went to at a conference once was someone was talking about how they designed and built this remote-controlled tractor, full-size one. And if something goes wrong, well, it can go straight through a wall and knock down a house, and all sorts of damage can occur. But think about what could go wrong. What if the battery on the transmitter went flat? What if the operator had a heart attack and fell over? What if the communications was jammed by a third party that was trying to jam your communications? What if there's an error in your communication packets? What if a cable's cut if you're talking about a wired system and it's shorted out somehow in there? What sort of consequences will be there? Pretty serious ones. Let's talk about the different ways around how a heartbeat or a watchdog can be used in many of these different circumstances. One of them is common on locomotives. It's called a dead man switch. So a driver will need to periodically press a button, and if they don't press the button, the brakes will automatically be applied. And someone will be notified that the driver's fallen asleep or become incapacitated or something like that. If the button's just held down, like the driver sticks a book on top of it, that's not good enough. It actually needs to be periodically pressed and released to actually allow it to operate safely. In industrial robotics, there's often a 3-position enable switch, so that if you don't press the switch, the robot's not going to move. If you press the switch in all the way, the robot's not going to move either. You just need to press the switch down halfway. Once you press the switch down halfway, you can manipulate the robot and move it around. This stops the use case where an operator accidentally falls on the control and jams it in, and then the robot keeps on operating and may hurt other people or hurt that person further. One thing that's used in communications is what we'd call a heartbeat or a watchdog packet. And basically what we're talking about here is if we don't have any unerred messages received in a certain time frame, maybe a few hundred milliseconds or something like that, we go into some sort of a safe mode. We might stop all our motors, we'll report an error, and we'll go into a mode that's safe and won't damage anyone or damage anything around it. So we might have something like this, and this is an industry project that we recently worked on and delivered for University of Tasmania. And basically this particular robot is designed to search through wombat burrows. We call it Wombot because it goes through wombat burrows, and it's pictured there next to a wombat. And we found one problem with it, in that if the cable was unplugged or the controller was unplugged, what could happen in some circumstances is the robot would kind of go berserk. The one motor would go full speed in one direction, one would go full speed in the other direction, and it would very nicely try and wedge itself inside the wombat burrow where it's really hard to get it out. No one really wants to climb down these things, and for the good part, most of us just won't fit down these things. So what I did is I implemented a heartbeat in this. So basically, if no message is received for a period of 200 milliseconds, the whole thing stops if no unerred message is received for that period. And that means if you've unplugged the cable or something like that, the whole thing will stop. It won't keep on driving off down the wombat burrow and run itself into a wombat or anything like that, or crash itself and jam itself into a wall. And then when the messages start being received again, well, it can keep on moving. You can control it as was. But you want to log these sort of events that something's occurred. So this is what we would term as a heartbeat, to make sure that we've got communications happening, it's still happening, and we just haven't lost communications and we don't know what's happening in the outside world.